Hi guys, I've got a really quick page for you today. I'm going to do another page in my quote notebook and I'm going to use the new Bishop Street Alpha from Kellie stamps. But before I go ahead and stamp out my quote, I just want to add a little bit of She's Magic because I can't not. I still am totally obsessed with this line. But one of the main reasons that I want to add a little bit of this in is I do have some stamping coming through from the page behind this, so I'm going to cover that up. I've grabbed my 6x8 pad and I've just picked out a really plain paper. It's kind of a creamy color, kind of notebook looking paper, and just trimmed that down so it's slightly smaller than the actual page, the single page of the spread. The 8-inch paper doesn't quite go to the top and bottom of a traveler's notebook spread, so I've trimmed it so it's slightly narrow as well, and I'll have that same, I think it's about 1/4 inch, but a bit less than 1/4 inch around all 4 sides of that paper. Now I've got a little photo of myself working at my craft desk and I've just backed that with a couple of scraps from that same paper pad. I like the smaller size of the scale of patterns in the 6x8 pads for travelers notebooks, and these ones have a fun sort of holographic foil in them as well, which is really pretty, and it's just going to help me add a little bit of color to the page, but also goes really nicely with the yellow. This notebook is one that I have just made myself with just some yellow paper. It's not particularly thick paper, which is why I get so much of the stamping coming through, and do have to find ways of covering that up. Behind the little mounted photo there, I've just added a few die cuts. There's a couple of sort of floral pieces and a label and a little note paper looking one. Again, just add a bit of interest and some color, and I'm going to add some of these stickers too. The paper of these stickers is kind of, I don't know, it's not really metallic, it's kind of holographic as well. It's really pretty in real life, but does not show up even remotely here on camera. Now, I had a real nightmare sticking this down, and it stuck down really good, not straight. So you'll just have to excuse the fact that it's not straight. I'm just going to have to learn to live with that. Like I said, the paper that I've made this notebook from is super thin, so there is zero chance of me being able to pull that pattern paper up without it ripping the paper behind. So I've just left it, and I'm going to start stamping out my quote. Now, like I said, this is the Bishop Street Alpha from Kellie Stamps, brand new. It's only a couple of days old. But this is part of the sort of Christmas release, and while it is going to be a perfect alpha for Christmas because it's got kind of a candy cane stripe in there, it's also perfect for other projects as well, such as this. So I'm just stamping that in pink ink. It's Catherine Pooler ink, and I can't remember the name of the color. This is just one of the mini inks that comes in the packs. So it's a really, really pretty ink. You can see though it does stain the stamps quite considerably. Now, this is just a sort of short quote from Bob. I want to say Goff, Bob Goff. We won't be distracted by comparison if we are consumed with passion, which I really loved. I mean, I'm sure we all struggle with this, but I know I do in particular. That whole comparison trap is something I fall into all the time. It does not make me feel good, and so this is just a little reminder to myself to not worry so much about the comparison and just focus on the reason that I do the things that I do in the first place. I did just check that I was going to be able to stamp out these longer words, distracted and comparison and consumed, before I started, so I did do a tiny bit of planning, which is more than normal, but I knew that it had these longer words in it. Luckily, this is one of those sort of perfectly sized alphas that's small enough to fit those larger titles into a notebook, but still sort of small enough to fit on the page, which I really, really love. And you'll see in the detailed photos at the end the kind of sketchy candy cane stripes I was talking about. Here it just kind of looks like a lighter sort of stamp, which I really love. It's a really, really pretty alpha. So I will leave the link for this alpha down in the description box. I've got a code for you down there, so you can get 10% off any order with Kellie Stamps. That's the code is down in the box. I think it's Diane10, but do check there, and I'll leave the link for the shop as well. So I'm running out of room, and I do like to put the kind of authors of the quotes just so I know where they came from in the first place. So once I finish this little quote here with the punctuation mark, I am going to go and grab a really old set from Kellie Stamps, this tiny alpha, and just stamp Bob Goff down the bottom. I'm going to use the same ink. I pulled that stamp set out of its storage there and couldn't find an O. The O was missing, so I got super lucky that it had fallen off and was in the bottom of my stamp box. Now that's my quote all stamped out. Didn't take too long. I have just been stamping off my stamps on the left there, not really cleaning them. That ink, like I said, it stains really badly anyway, so I didn't bother too much with the cleaning. But I do want to add a little bit of colour onto the right hand side just to go with the right, so I added a few more of those little stickers, little heart stickers from that same pack. Gives me my visual triangle there, and then I can call this very quick page all done. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you want to keep watching, there's a couple more videos on screen, or why not check out my Patreon page because there are even more videos over there. Otherwise, I will see you guys next time. Bye.